Think skipping sleep makes you more productive? Science says it's actually making you stupid. Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today, we need to have a real conversation, a serious one, about the one thing you are probably sacrificing right now in the name of success. Because look, we live in hustle culture, right? We are constantly getting hit with this message: grind harder, stay up later, push more, do more. If you want the business, the promotion, the big test score, then apparently you're supposed to burn the midnight oil. And somehow, we made sleep deprivation sound impressive. We brag about all-nighters, we show off the giant coffees, the energy drinks, and the dark circles under our eyes, like it means we're more committed than everyone else.
But what if that whole idea is backwards? What if skipping sleep is actually the fastest way to wreck your brain, trash your memory, and sabotage your own success? Because today, we are diving into brain rule number 3. Sleep well, think well. And honestly, this one changes everything. Sleep is not weakness. Sleep is not a luxury. Sleep is your brain's secret weapon. It is a biological performance multiplier. It locks in memories, repairs your body, and gets your mind ready for peak performance. So if you really want to understand how important sleep is, we have to look at what happens when you take it away. And wow, it is not pretty. Back in 1959, a New York disc jockey named Peter Tripp decided he would stay awake for 200 straight hours to raise money for charity. 200 hours! He sat in a glass booth in Times Square, one of the busiest, loudest places imaginable, and kept broadcasting his radio show while scientists observed him. At first, he seemed okay. For the first 72 hours, he was still doing his normal 3-hour show. He was funny, sharp, professional. But then, things started to fall apart. He became rude, offensive, aggressive. He started hallucinating. And the researchers found that he could no longer complete certain mental skill tests. By around 120 hours, just 5 days in, he was showing clear, serious signs of mental impairment. So why does sleep loss do that? Why missing sleep cause such a dramatic collapse of the human mind? Well, because when you go to sleep, your brain is not shutting off. That's the myth. A lot of people imagine sleep like powering down a computer, but that is not what is happening at all. Your brain is actually insanely active during sleep. Neurons are firing, patterns are shifting, signals are flying everywhere. Your brain is working. And inside your body, there is this intense biological battle happening all the time. On one side, you have the circadian arousal system. That is the drive that keeps you awake. On the other side, you have the homeostatic sleep drive. That is the pressure building up, pushing you towards sleep.
These two systems are in constant combat, back and forth, wakefulness, then surrender, alertness, then sleepiness. And the crazy part is, it is so predictable, scientists can graph it. This battle is happening behind the scenes all day long, but it controls how you feel, how you focus, and how well you perform. And here's where it gets personal. The timing of that battle is different for different people. We do not all have the same internal clock. Some people are larks. They wake up super early, weirdly cheerful before 6 in the morning, and they are ready for bed around 9 at night. Other people are owls. They come alive later. They feel most alert in the evening. Their best work happens late, and going to bed before 3 in the morning feels almost impossible. And listen, neither one is morally superior. It is biology. Whether you are a lark or an owl, there is usually a point in the afternoon when those two systems hit a stalemate. That is the famous nap zone. You know that heavy, dragging, almost painful sleepiness that hits around 3 in the afternoon? Yeah, that is real. That is not laziness. That is not bad character. That is your brain saying, hey, I would really like a nap now. And it does not care about your inbox. Now let's talk about what happens when you keep ignoring all of this, because sleep loss is a massive brain drain. One study found that if a high-performing student, like an A student, someone usually scoring in the top 10%, gets just under 7 hours of sleep on weekdays, her scores start to drop all the way down to the level of the bottom 9%. Just sit with that for a second. A pretty mild sleep deficit can wipe out a huge intellectual advantage. That is wild. And it gets worse. Sleep deprivation can physically age you. When healthy 30-year-olds were sleep deprived for 6 days, getting only around 4 hours of sleep a night, parts of their body chemistry started to resemble that of a 60-year-old. A 60-year-old. And even after they were allowed to recover, it took almost a full week for their systems to get back to baseline. So, no, sleep loss is not just feeling a little tired. It damages attention, executive function, working memory, mood, math skills, logic, reasoning, focus. Eventually, it even starts affecting your motor skills, your coordination, your fine control, even your larger physical movements. In other words, it hurts thinking in basically every way we know how to measure thinking. But now, let's flip it. What happens when you actually get the sleep your brain needs? Honestly, magic. Your brain uses sleep to consolidate what you learn during the day. It takes loose information and turns it into something solid. There is this amazing example with rats. Scientists watched the brains of rats while they learned a new maze. Then, when the rats went to sleep, their brains started replaying the exact maze pattern they had learned earlier, over and over and over again, only much faster. The replay was so intense, the sequence happened thousands of times. And if a researcher woke the rat up during this specific sleep stage, slow wave sleep, the rat had trouble remembering the maze the next day. Think about that. The brain was literally using sleep to lock in the learning. And guess what? Humans do this too. Researchers gave students math problems with a hidden shortcut, and they wanted to know if there was a way to boost the chance of insight. The answer? Yes, sleep on it. If 12 hours passed, around 20% of students figured out the shortcut. But if that 12-hour period included about 8 hours of sleep, that number jumped to around 60%. It tripled. Not because they worked harder, not because they stared longer, not because they forced it, because they slept. The sleep group consistently outperformed the no-sleep group by about 3-1. So let's pause here because this is where it gets really personal. Imagine we're just sitting across from each other, coffee in hand, talking honestly about your life. You have goals, big ones. Maybe you're building a career. Maybe you're working on a degree. Maybe you're trying to be a calmer, more present parent or partner. Maybe you're trying to level up in every area of your life. And the world keeps telling you the same thing. Sleep less, work more. But the science absolutely destroys that idea. Sleep deprivation is estimated to cost U.S. businesses more than $100 billion a year. Why? Because tired people are not getting more done. They're doing lower quality work, making more mistakes, missing details, forgetting things, operating with impaired judgment. So when you cut sleep to be productive, you are not gaining an advantage. You are performing with compromised executive function, a wrecked attention span, and the stress profile of someone way older than you should be. That is not high performance. That is burnout with good branding. We need to start treating sleep like a non-negotiable part of self-improvement. Seriously. Think back to that math study. 8 hours of sleep, and the students were 3 times more likely to discover the hidden shortcut. That is incredible. They did not grind harder. Their brains did the work for them in the background while they slept. So if you are stuck on a work project, if you're trying to learn a new skill, if you're pushing to grow, staying up until 3 in the morning is probably the worst move. Your brain needs sleep to connect the dots. It needs sleep to wire things together. It needs sleep to do the heavy lifting you cannot force while staring at a screen half dead at 2:17 a.m. And we also need to stop fighting our biology. If you're an owl, please stop beating yourself up because you're not bouncing out of bed at 5 in the morning to journal, sprint, meditate, cold plunge, and crush the day. That might not be your wiring. Your biological clock matters, and trying to force yourself into someone else's rhythm can leave you permanently exhausted.
So know your chronotype, respect it, and whenever possible, build your schedule around it. Do your hardest mental work when your brain is most awake, not when some influencer told you successful people are supposed to be awake. And let's talk about the afternoon slump, because wow, people love to fight that thing with caffeine like it's a moral battle. But what if instead of fighting the nap zone, you used it? A 26-minute nap improved NASA pilots' performance by 34%. 34% in 26 minutes. I mean, what management strategy gives you that kind of return that fast? So if you work from home or your schedule has any flexibility at all, a strategic 20 to 30-minute nap is not lazy. It is smart. It is tactical. It is a reset button for your brain, and it can seriously boost the second half of your day. So, my friend, here is the big takeaway. Give yourself permission to rest. You are a biological organism, not a machine. You cannot out-hustle human physiology. Sleep is when you heal. Sleep is when you learn. Sleep is when you grow. If you truly want to perform at a high level, if you want to think faster, remember more, solve problems better, and actually show up as your best self, then sleep has to become a priority. Not an afterthought, not a reward, not something you get to after everything else is done. A priority. So tonight, put the phone down. Turn off the glowing rectangles. Stop pretending one more exhausted hour is going to change your life. And go to sleep. Because trust me, your brain will thank you tomorrow.